comments in the chat, and then at the end of the talk, you can also unmute and talk directly to our speaker. So today, I'm really excited to welcome somebody that I recently met, and it's Dr. Siddhapa Sethi, and he is at the Center for Environment and Development at ATREE, which is in Bengaluru, India. And I had the opportunity to visit ATREE and really was treated wonderfully. I was there for a couple of days and got to see a lot of what they're doing. And before I went there, I was able to go to a site, a community, if I can call it a community conservation site that they're working in, that Siddhapa is overseeing. And he's going to talk about the work there. I just want to mention that what really struck me about that site is that it's an incredibly human-dominated landscape, and it's in the Western Ghats, which is a biodiversity hotspot. And I thought a lot about how in Rwanda, the natural areas are very much isolated in protected areas. And in India, it's very much a gradation of landscapes and wildlife and people. And we're talking serious wildlife like tigers and elephants and all kinds of other big wildlife. And it was so impressive to learn how in conservation approaches, they're really using traditional knowledge and in many different indigenous groups and really working with people and what they know about how to live next to wildlife. And these are landscapes growing out. We saw coffee and pepper and many other products, honey. So it was really an exciting, inspirational opportunity to see some of these innovations they're doing. So I want to turn it over to Siddhapa. I just want to mention something interesting I learned though. His title is Center Convener. And I didn't know what that meant, convener, so I had to ask while I was at ATREE. And I thought it was so interesting that convener means the lead, like the head or the lead or the director of a particular unit. But because ATREE really has these ideas and really embraces, well, probably Siddhapa, you can unpack that better, but about equality, egalitarianism, democracy issues. So they call it convener, which really makes it just maybe a way to talk about people being in a similar level and just the person who happens to be convening the group. And I really, thank you, I got it right. I really like that approach to leadership. So I just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to now turn it over to Siddhapa. I'm going to mute my microphone, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to tell us. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth, for the wonderful introduction. It was really awesome to meet you and talk to you, and thank you for visiting our field site as well as ATREE. And thanks a lot indeed for organizing, inviting me for this seminar. Let me share my PPT with you all. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, you can see it.
Yeah, I should. Oh, thank you. This, I'll be talking about the indigenous. We've been working with indigenous communities. If you have any problem, please let me know. And thank you. The indigenous community, their livelihood from past 29 years in this landscape, actually. So, as ATREE, about ATREE, Beth knows a lot. And these are basically a think tank institution and academic institution as well. And also we work very closely with the grassroots organization, generating interdisciplinary knowledge for the community, policy makers, forest managers, and everybody like that. And as you all, just one slide about ATREE. And in India, we have, as you all know, you might be knowing, the India has both Eastern Himalayas and Western Ghats, both biodiversity hotspots actually. So we focus on Western Ghats. The Western Ghats is about rich in biodiversity with the 5,000 species of plants. Actually, it has all the bracket, the mammals, rich in mammals and reptiles, amphibians, and mollusks. Whatever you have, I have mentioned in the bracket, that indicates that those percentage is the endemic to the Western Ghats. So in that sense, you can imagine the percentage of endemism that we have in the Western Ghats. There's a couple of slides about to show the beauty of the Western Ghats if you're not visited. So this is Kaveri, the basin, and the monsoon. And this is a photo I've taken recently. So we have 600 elephants in this landscape where I'm working, and the tiger, the population, and also the beautiful sacred sites we have. And this is the Center for Environmental Development, what Beth mentioned. So under this, we have the Forest Governance and Livelihood Program, the Sustainable Development Goal at 1 and 15, and the Water and Society, other program we have. So Sustainable Development Goal 6, and Sustainable Consumption is also one of the programs recently started under the Center for Environment and Development at ATREE. And its approaches, what we are following is that you have to conserve the biodiversity, at the same time you have to enhance the livelihood of the people, and developmental issues are interlinked with the environmental issues. You have to work with both of them, and otherwise it's like very difficult to achieve the goal. That's what we feel, and that's how we started involving community in conservation of the forest, at the same time creating livelihood opportunity for the communities. And these are the three landscapes we have been working with for quite some time, about around 2,000 square kilometer of the forest in Western Ghats. This is the Soliga tribal communities, unique Soliga tribal community working so there's a 40,000 of the population is very unique in this Western Ghats. We work very closely with them, and basically the BRT Tiger Reserve. This the forest tech, as said earlier, they have an incredible knowledge about the forest because they live in the forest. They use forest on forest. The community actually, not bias actually. So they have a more micro forest types compared to the satellite imagery data that we have. In fact, that's what I would like to flag here. And this amazingly, in 540 square kilometer of the forest, we found 480 sacred sites actually. These are the sacred, each and every corner of the forest is being worshipped by the community. The corner is the 2,000 years old might be being worshipped. Is the tiger by the community. Basically, the landscape where the community and the forest and the tiger coexist. So, because in the landscape from past 30 years, the tiger population used to be 8. Now we have around 60 population. This is the photo I had in the interior forest community were worshipping the trees and also the tiger and everything. So, and just I would like to highlight what are the projects we have been trying to implement conservation with the conservation goals, and also the livelihood goal, enhancing the livelihood of the tribal community in these landscapes. One of the issues we work with kind of trying to tell you a story about 4 examples so that you will get an idea that the nature of the work being carried out to address the conservation issues and livelihood related issues in this landscape. So basically NTFPs, non-timber forest products, as an opportunity to work on this. It's a win-win situation where you can do a developmental related work and as well as the conservation related work as well. These are the non-timber forest products being requested by them. And the first thing we realized, it is very important. The tenure is going to be important we work very closely with the tenure related issues in this landscape. Luckily, 2006 there is the Forest Fire Act. The policy came into picture. We kind of using that policy to implement the right to the community, both the individual rights and also the community rights. The 77 Gram Sabhas have received the community rights. That amounts to 83 villages and 5,000 families. And 21,000 members got benefited, and 2,000 Soligas, so the farmers have received the rights to cultivate in their agricultural land. Otherwise, there is a lot of uncertainty because the government was declaring landscape as a tiger reserve. In the name of the tiger reserve, they try to relocate the people outside the forest. So that's we do not have a great example of the success stories where community are doing really well after relocating them. So in that, instead of trying to come up with the model where community and the Soligas or the tiger can coexist, and then implement this forest right act. That's the whole idea. That's the women after receiving the community rights. This is the first time in the history of protected areas in India the community were able to get rights under the Forest Right Act. After the Forest Right Act, it's to go with the enterprise-based conservation model, where the NTFPs are being processed and add value to it, and the income being generated from this processing unit will go back to the community in the form of an incentive to conserve the forest. This is Madama is the president of the processing unit. There is a committee managers. I just try to get the grant and facilitating this project, but all as led by the decision is being made by the community and their leaders. And then we want to hand over this, the project to them after 3 years. And also a lot of training being given to them on sustainable use of forest resources, involving them in monitoring the resources using the traditional knowledge, and also the 20 tons of honey being harvested from the forest. To reduce the impact on honeybees, we also promote apiculture so that the population will be So this are the visitors and also creating awareness among the Soligas and the honey harvesters and visitors or school children and everybody. At the same time, you monitor the bee colonies, how the bee colonies are fluctuating, what are the abilities of bee colonies across this landscape and peri-urban areas, because the bee colonies move across this landscape in the forest to agriculture and also cityscapes, and we wanted to keep track of them, how they are behaving and what kind of impact they are having in different ecosystems. All these are being studied. That's one of the projects actually had on sustainable use of forest resources, with special reference to enterprise-based conservation models actually. And the second one is agriculture, agroforestry one. At 2000, the people have received the individual rights to cultivate in their agriculture land. Under that, we work with them to conserve their agriculture land and the soil and water and related issues. We work on these issues because the core forest is connected to buffer zone, is connected to main agriculture land and also the fringe areas. They interconnected. That's seed dispersers and the pollinators use them, and they travel across these landscapes. The way in which the community manage their agriculture land have an impact on the biodiversity as well. So we want to create and then make people aware of these things. And agroforestry, there's an incredible, seed diversity they have that need to be conserved. We work with them on that because, according to our assessment, the 152 varieties of crops being grown in their backyard, agriculture land, also kitchen garden, not in large scale, it's a household consumption actually, but the diversity they have. And also recently they list the diversity they have actually, and also the high altitude people have started growing coffee, and we are encouraging them to grow fruit yielding trees so that you can add more trees in their agriculture land to sequester the carbon, at the same time produce fruits for their younger generation, for children's, for the nutritional food security. So this is recently the seeds, the seedlings have been distributed to farmers, and the coffee being grown by them, we encourage them to grow organic coffee and add value to it, and then income will go back to them the incentive, in the form of an incentive to protect their agricultural land, to practice biodiversity-friendly coffee. That is the agroforestry that we have in this landscape. And third one related to the forest restoration with the community participation. So that usually this degraded forest and the invasive species, trying to remove this invasive species with the community participation and restore that place with native species. This was with a 900 hectare of the forest with the community participation, and this is a decision being made by the community themselves, how the forest used to be and what is the kind of damage that forest has, how that need to be addressed, and what kind of the trees need to be planted. All these native plants are being selected by the community themselves. The 48 native species being selected by them, and also the planted and then grown through the decentralized and the community have participated in growing them and planting them and protecting them. So after 10 years, this is how the forest changed actually. So from degraded to the wet, the forest, but it took 10 years actually. The survival rate used to be around 50%, and 70 families are involved in this, got benefited actually. So this is received a best with the project award by the GE. And this is the third, enterprise plus the restoration project that we had, have coordinated. And the fourth one is weeds to wealth. You all might be knowing Lantana camera. It's in the invasive species. The density of the invasive species is very high in forest landscapes, and it having a negative impact on regeneration of the forest, and it's affecting the flora and fauna in a large scale, in fact. And we have been monitoring this lantana from past 30 years, and in 1997 we estimated the lantana density. It used to be 4%, and later it has become 34%, and now it is 47%. The 50% of the forest is full of lantana. At the same time, native flora has declined from 96% to 66 and 53%. So this is how the landscape has changed. And then the regeneration of the majority of native species have declined in this forest because of the lantana camera. And also the forest department are trying to remove the lantana, and they encouraged us to do some experiment with this landscape where they removed the lantana. So what we found was, when you remove lantana, the native sapling population, seedling population, and grass cover increases. So in that sense, we thought we should encourage people to use the lantana for the good cause, the livelihood purpose. This is what we have encouraged the community to do it in this landscape. Basically they started making furnitures, and initially they started making baskets that didn't pick up and they are not able to sell, and later they started making furniture out of them. And then we learned how to bend lantana. We didn't know how to bend lantana initially. So these are the the lantanas coming out from this project, and this is collaborated. This actually the nature thing was we are pioneers, or the community are like 600 people are trained in this. But this elephant, the crafts are being from elephant family in UK, also Shola Trust at Tamil Nadu. So with them, our artisans supplied 65 elephants to them, but totally 350 elephants had gone to UK for the conservation awareness program that generated 200 million rupees, and it came back to the conservation purpose in India. This is the Lantana Craft Center, 4 Lantana decentralized craft centers. We have 20 master craftsmen. We have 400 people trained on site, 1,000 people outside. They also earn from this activity programs actually. So this project directly generated around the 1.5 crore rupees for the community. This is a kind of large amount for the tribal community. They used to earn 10,000 rupees per year actually. And also we also do other collaborative work, and then started testing what else you can do out of lantana, because the biomass is so huge. Just making furniture out of them will not able to get rid of all of them. So in that sense, the handmade paper making, and particle board making, and then lantana crate making, all this being trained in this landscape actually. And this is how was reduce the lantana. Our artisans were used to go travel around 1.5 to 2 kilometers to collect lantana sticks to make furnitures. Now they started traveling 6 to 7 kilometers. That clearly indicated that declining for some extent in this landscape, but they harvest only the ideal stick to make furnitures. That they rest. That's why we are trying to come up with other the products, value-added products for this landscape. So these results of the research work is being shared in a lot of courses for them, and taking them to the forest and show them to the forest department, the people, and then we are now working related where community and forest department can come together and co-manage the forest. This is where we are right now, and the community jobs we conducted recently, and using their their knowledge and use that knowledge to co-manage the forest. This is where we are now. The outcome and milestone under the forest impact. This is just a summary of the entire project. The 77 Gram Sabhas were get community rights, 2,000 people, individual rights, agriculture, 60-50 families are getting benefited, and here 500 families were getting benefited, and then livelihood opportunities around 1.7 crore being generated by the as a cash income is being generated from these projects. And this project received a IF Social Impact Award a couple of years back, and the 600 families have got benefited. And this is the journey from past 30 years. In fact, in 1994, the sustainable use of NTFPs, we kind of started doing the research on this and trying to understand the flora and fauna and dependency on the forest in 92 and 94. And then we started the enterprise-based conservation model, decentralized, and before, and then decentralized processing units with the local NGOs and with the community, and before the rights, in fact. And then in 2006, there is a rights being given to them, and now we are following enterprise-based conservation model after the tenure, and now we are like co-managing the co-managed model. We are coming up with the community participation. This is where we have this is acknowledgement for all the staff, and also I do education program for scholarship programs for the younger generation, so that they organically grow and kind of thing. They learn from the landscape, at the same time they also get educated, and hopefully they'll come back to the landscape as a conservationist, as a policymakers, as a forest managers, to work with the community. This is what I wanted to you all. And then I have a small video. If you allow me, I can share the video. This is just a 3 minutes video. Is that be all right?
Yeah, sure, please.
How to share the slide again, screen again.
Yeah, it's never exactly intuitive, is it?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Then that's good. Take some. Okay, yeah, it's coming. Can you see now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, can I, yeah, I'll start.
We aren't hearing it though. Maybe, I don't know if it's the bandwidth.
Sorry?
If you might, we are.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I was thinking maybe if you turn off your video for this video here might help in bandwidth. I'm not sure.
Let me try.
Okay.
Now it's visible.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just start. Again, let me know. Is that, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yes. I can't hear.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you. That was amazing. We had trouble hearing, but at least you had the, what do you call it, the words, so we could read that. So, yeah, I want to now welcome people to ask questions, and I'll read ones that we already have in the chat, and then whoever gave the question, you're also welcome to jump in. So Eve asked, how do you manage to keep active community participation in forest protection? Any incentives provided to them, or any fines associated with no active community member participation?
Yeah, basically that's a great question. We've been kind of working with the community institutions, and then bringing them together, and then and also you start with the the participatory process for trying to understand according to them what are the burning issues, and according to them what are the burning issues related to biodiversity conservation, what are the burning issues related to livelihood related one, and then we try to work with them with the personal with their participation, so that they're excited. Say, for example, that 488 sacred sites that we have identified, we have mapped all the from that. So they are kind of excited about things to get it done, and also support that they get from us as a scientific also. Say, for example, to get the rights, that scientific data was important. They are sustainably harvesting the resources, and they have a good site. All those things helps. So that bringing us together. And also enterprise-based conservation model, we have a set created, and then use it, the facility center, machineries, they can process the, they can take decisions, they can share the profit between them. Really helps travel together.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's just me, but sometimes it's a little hard to hear. So maybe, I don't know if you can get closer to your microphone. And I would ask if everyone heard that. And Eve kind of had a follow-up question about any challenges with engaging community members in this project with the community rights. Who owns the land, individuals or local government?
Yeah. Able to, anybody has question? The second one, right?
Yeah, the one, it's the second one from Eve, and then I'll go to the one from Franklin. But Eve kind of had a follow-up question about challenges with engaging community members in the project, and then what about the community rights? Like, who owns the land, the individuals or the local government?
No, it used to be the local. It used to be with the local government, and the land and also the forest right was not there for the community. They were informally, basically the Soligas, the tribal community, are basically sitting cultivators and hunter-gatherers. And the area was declared as a tiger reserve, wildlife sanctuary. They had to stop sitting cultivation. Then they started relying on non-timber-yielding forest products for their livelihood. So informally the government allowed them to use what resources, also cultivate, but they never had a rights with them, never had a records, documents. The Forest Act to get those rights. They are not formalized. They have earlier the forest department owns the land, forest government is a lot more. Community owns the land when there is ownership, and it's easy for it makes much more sense for them to involve in conservation. So that's the advantage.
Eve, did that answer? Yeah, okay, thank you. And then Franklin asked, what was your methodology to help farmers select useful native trees for forest restoration?
Oh, basically that's a great question. Initially, instead of we deciding what kind of plants we need to plant, and what kind of plants are available, and then just go and plant them. That was not the idea that we used. We actually went to community and had participatory discussion with them. And then we spoke to them, had a intense discussion, how their forest used to be, and then what kind of species they had, what kind of useful plants they used to use, and this kind of discussions being made, and also the history being collected, being discussed. And then we only asked them what kind of plants they would like to see coming back to their landscape. It would be helpful for them and their livelihood. So we had this kind of a discussion, and the 8 species are being selected by the community. And they had a big list. Out of that, they shortlisted, they prioritized the species and came up with the 48 species. And that was the earlier story. Now, once after planting the degraded landscapes, now they would like to plant in their agriculture, the agroforestry systems. There they said they have only a small piece of land. They don't want to plant a big trees that will occupy a lot of space and also won't be productive so much. You would like to go with the high-yielding, grafted, fruit-yielding trees. Now we are kind of working with them to produce in their decentralized nurseries so that they'll have a affection to plant them and take care of them, and would be helpful for their children, for their food security and the nutritional security. This was being done.
Wow, that's great. I know many people here, including Franklin, is working on his PhD related to farmers' selection of trees for restoration or on farms. So I know there's a lot of interest in how you've done that. I got through the questions in the chat, so you're welcome to add more questions. Anybody here, or you can unmute and ask your question directly. Does anybody have another question? While we're waiting, I have a question for you. In terms of these projects that you do, like the work with the communities, the enterprise projects, do you have metrics or ways that you are measuring how that is influencing their livelihoods, like socioeconomic aspects? Because I saw you have like the number of people that are involved in those projects, but I'm just also curious if there's some metrics for how it has affected their livelihood.
Basically, we collect the baseline data, and then we do the follow-up data collection, and then even each and every seedlings where they are planted and when they planted are being monitored using GPS systems. So GPS points we have for each and every trees are being planted and being grown by them, so that we can go back and revisit what's happening to those plants and things like that. So, and also we are kind of monitoring how they are growing, growth rates and all those things are being monitored. That even the bee colonies are what we are supplying. We have a farmer's list, and who's having the bee colonies, how many bee colonies they have, what is the quantity of honey being produced by them, how much money they are making, all those being monitored. That. And also this enterprise, and how many people are directly working, indirectly working, how much money being supplied, money being supplied to them by them across the unit, and what's the amount to be made, and then what is the profit being made, how much profit is going back to the community, how much stays back with the community in the form of the capital, working capital. All those are being monitored.
Oh, great. Thank you. Other questions? Other comments? You're welcome. We have quite a quiet...
Feel free to ask me. Yes, yeah. Because I want to just run by this one try to give more time for the discussion, so that will be helpful. That's what I thought. I mean, a great question.
Yeah, usually the group is a little bit more talkative. I don't know if it's a quiet afternoon today or what. But I know, for example, we have some people here, like Placide has been studying otters in Lake Kivu and human-wildlife conflict, and I think some of the ways that you're working with people can be adapted to working with the fishermen communities in the lake and the otters. Yeah.
Recently, we started some, corridor restoration project. Beth. We are in the initial stage. We do not have so much data and experience, but it's quite challenging to work in corridor-related issues with the community participation. Also, a lot of restriction by the government not plant in the tiger reserve and like that. And we are trying to work with community and try to restore their so that they'll get some incentive and animal-friendly crops they can grow, so that they'll not have so much impact. Also, at the same time, biodiversity will also benefit. That kind of a discussion is going on, but we are in a very early stage.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Another thing that struck me about being there is that we were in this landscape with, so many people, villages and people doing agriculture, and there were cows. And then there's also, unfortunately I didn't see any, but there's tiger and elephant and buffalo and monkeys. And it was really so fascinating to know that there's all these wildlife, and there's not really fences like often how we see in many countries. Like in Rwanda, we have many of the protected areas are very defined and either have a fence or a very clear boundary. And the human-wildlife conflict issues are very big. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about why you think it's not as, I'm sure there are some issues, but why it's not as significant as it is, say, in places here in Africa where we deal with like grade A, like chimpanzee or grade A human interactions, and also, of course, with carnivores and elephants, etc.
Yeah, interestingly, Beth, this human-wildlife conflict is inside the forest where the tribal people live. It's quite low, and the people think the tribal is very, very interesting. This Soliga tribal community lived in the forest for millennia, so they think that the wildlife is part of their life. And then we do not have a single case registered to get compensation for the wildlife damage so far. That's actually very, very interesting. In the plains, we have in agricultural land after the forest, immediately after the forest in the plains, there are farmers. They are not people, and they grow paddy and they grow sugarcane, and they apply for the compensation because of the wildlife damage. But the Soliga tribes never registered. They never claimed compensation. That's quite interesting. And also, secondly, that we know wildlife knows us. We can live together. That's the slogan they use. And the secondly, adaptability. Actually, some of them used to grow traditional crops in high altitude, and because of the wildlife population has increased, and they kind of changed from the cropping pattern has been changed, and they started growing some coffee and then started making cash out of that. And the coffee is safe to grow in the wildlife areas. So, they're kind of adopting to the changes. That's what I noticed that. Also, of course, the conflict in a sense it happens in a small scale because these are small farmers. They have only off 1 acre, 2 acre land, less than 1 hectare. The damage is not so much in terms of quantity, but in terms of quality, they need that land for the entire household for their subsistence. In that sense, it's important. This is what kind of we noticed and documented that.
Yeah, thank you. It's really interesting. Franklin, I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Seth, for your presentation. I really appreciate your presentation. So I would like to know, as Professor Bess told, I'm working on the same project here in DRC according to my PhD. And there are challenges. Really, there are so many challenges in adopting indigenous tree species. So I'd like to know about your project in India, if the case is same in Africa, or especially Rwanda and Congo, where there's native tree species. Some of them grow very slowly. There is also grazing, means seedlings are mainly attacked by animals for grazing and fire. So how you are helping the community there in India to overcome these challenges? Because really it is kind of my challenge in this kind of research. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. We also have the same challenges in fact. So where basically the native species of that definitely help for some extent because they are resistant to drought or whatever the rainfall is quite high. In that sense, we encourage native species, not non-native species, are to be engaged and by that's thing. And they had a grazing impact, fire related impact. The fire related damage to the community are the think that the fire is forest. And in the name of the protected areas, in the name of the type and national park, government protect the forest from the fire. They didn't want people to burn the forest. So accumulation of the lot of biomass in the forest into fire. Now we are having a disaster, a huge canopy fire because a lot of trees are getting killed because of the canopy fire. So in that sense, we are kind of proposed under fire. That's the description given by the community that the forest should be burned every year in the month of January, where the little moisture is there, so that it won't burn fire 3 days. So we are not able to. We are doing some experiment on that right now. Research to validate this knowledge and bring to the policymakers. This is what they have to do. Of course, some of the the canopy fire is not bad for the forest. The type of forest fire make a difference, and that is what we have to learn actually. Since the grazing one we spoke about,
Really? Really? Where is my car?
Species doesn't grow because of the shade.
Where's
And
my
when
car?
it's an open area where don't have any, the grazing impact is very high. So in that sense, where we have lantana, we have grazing, regeneration problem, and when we don't have lantana, we have a grazing. In that sense, we are trying to address these issues, and then being unless we plan a large-scale removal of invasive species, be able to restore the forest. This is what we learn.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. Other questions or comments? Let's see. Well, if nobody has any questions, we're just a few minutes from the from 4 o'clock, the end of our seminar, and I'm really glad that we can have this time to talk about the amazing work that you all are doing there, Sidapa. It's it's really, really interesting. And yeah, I hope that we stay in touch with ATREE, and I think we're going to have some other shared opportunities. I encourage everybody here, you can check out ATREE online. It's ATREE. They have a really nice website. And also, if any of you here want to give a talk, just a reminder that you can contact Vinay, and he can get you, oh, thanks. He can get you set up to give a talk. And yeah, thank you so much.
Please. Thanks, Beth. We have the PhD program. It's around 95 students have registered so far for a PhD in ATREE, and 45 of them have graduated, and they're already in very good place, and they all got employment at the 100%. That's a great news. And also that we also have a master's degree program on sustainable studies, so that people would like to give a talk, let me know. I can facilitate. Not a problem. We can learn each other. And also, I'll be visiting, attending FLAIR meeting at Kenya, Nairobi. Hope to meet some of you if possible. And also giving a talk at University of Nairobi, Wangari Maathai Institute on 16th.
What is that conference you're going to?
The FLAIR meeting, FLARE, FLAIR 2023.
Yeah.
The community and forest and conservation related issues. So,
great.
So I'll be in Kenya in October 12th to 20th.
Great. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it's not so far to get here, but I don't know if you'll make it over here. Oh, so Franklin was asking if you would be willing to share your email address.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, good. Thanks. All right. And I just want to thank everybody for attending this talk. And yeah, there's his email address. And yeah, we'll stay in touch. We look forward to next week's seminar. And thank you all. Have a great afternoon. And say hi to all my friends there at ATREE, please.
Yeah, sure, Beth. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. All the best to all for the wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.